Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your master of comedy, of at least presenting comedy movies, and also the host of Zenorama, the podcast of Heroes and Monsters. Today we do have a very funny movie that I quite enjoyed. Not as much as the two sequels, which I did see in the theaters, but this one's really, I quite enjoyed it this time too, knowing more and more about it. Right? We are going to be reviewing the 1969 comedy science fiction movie, because it can't just be a comedy now, can it? Uh, the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes, or Trainers if you're in England. But it was released December 31st, 1969. Its running time is 91 minutes approximately. It made $5.5 million at the box office and really didn't have too many. It had a couple of special effects in it, but other than that, it was pretty all in camera. So it's quite good. I mean, I've seen all of them several times, all three of the Dexter Riley trilogy, as it's known now. Kurt Russell, of course, there. Cesar Romero as A.J. Arno. Kurt Russell's Dexter Riley. Joe Flynn, who we know from McHale's Navy. And if you don't know Kurt Russell and Cesar Romero, well, that's on you. William Shallert is the dean or the teacher, Professor Quigley, and that is Debbie Payne there as Annie Hanna, who is Dexter's girlfriend, or at least would be. It is set in the Medfield College, which was first used in 1961 in The Absent-Minded Professor and the sequel Son of Flubber. I did not know that. And I don't know how many more. They say several, but that's a whopping 5. So perhaps in other ones, Medfield is not hyperlinked, so I can't tell you. Anyway, this is the first one. It was probably the third one I saw, it seems. And I was on television because your humble agent would have only been about 4 years old then and wouldn't have remembered it anyway. But I think it was in 2 parts, and it was confusing to me at the time. So I didn't like it as much. These last 2 times I've watched it, I've quite enjoyed it. So glad to be reviewing it. All right, there's our heroes, and I do have the trailer pulled up here. Dig that swinging music.
It is tough to be the dean of a college today. It's tough, tough, tough. Unrest. Everywhere you look, unrest.
While the students tune in on the generation gap,
Every time we meet, they meet.
there's an electro-charged meeting of the minds.
All right, so that's actually almost directly from that opening there, where Dean, that's Joe Flynn as Dean Eugene Higgins, talking to the board there about how poor their school is. And this is a standard for 3 movies, even though they keep winning money. And they want to, because Professor Quigley wants a computer, and the computer is, of course, the size of a building almost. And A.J. Arno there, who the wonderful Cesar Romero and his mustache, who it took me I think I recognized him as the Joker by the second sequel, The Strongest Man in the World. But I should see if I could find The World's Greatest Athlete. I like that one a lot too. Anyway, the kids go to him and ask him for it, and he gives the Medfield College $20,000 annually, I'm sure as a tax write-off. Then decides to give him this computer where all of his illegal winnings are. He's double dealing, and he's a bad guy. He's bad. Oops. So there it is, as they're bringing it in, and I can't imagine how much power that thing had to use and how long it took to set up and get connected. But the dean is upset because he's lost his $20,000 for a $10,000 computer. $10,000 computer. My phone has more memory than that. Well, all of our phones do, really. But the professor is giving him a demonstration of the computer, answering the phone, opening the doors. Doesn't quite go as he plans, but he needs a new accentuator or something. And Riley just wants to go out, doesn't want to take the test. He's studying while he's driving in the rain. This sequence reminds me of Big Trouble in Little China for some reason. I'm kind of thinking that Dexter and old Jack uh, are the same person, just separated. But, well, they are the same person. Be that as it may, not yet. An actuator, which says danger, handle with care, and it's raining, he's soaking wet. He brings it into the computer room, and there's water all over the place. Eddie grabs hold of these things and gets zapped. This are pretty much our only special effects in the movie, except for a couple of pictures coming up. And that's what you're hearing right here.
A high-speed computer accidentally drains its brain into a not-so-bright campus clown who becomes a socket-shocked human computer.
The trailer's pretty funny, too. It would have worked on me as a kid. Now, the movie's presented in the Academy ratio for television, and I don't know why here. Let's see. Digital full screen 1.33 to 1. The others are, well, every one of them is full screen except for Now You See Him, Now You Don't, which I do remember seeing in the movie theater, and it was great. The whole audience of kids loved it. I don't know how the parents felt about it. We might get to that one this month, but we are halfway through now. So they're taking a test, and then Dexter's computer brain kicks in, and he just aces the whole thing. So they have to look in his brain, and they see the computer.
Dexter, come on, start the test.
And then they see the computer didn't quite kick out everything that a college boy would be thinking about. Now, this movie was released in '69, and one would think they'd been there for a while. They're not quite Animal House, but they're kind of, said, well, they're treated as the less than bright students of a less than bright college. So, but they figure out what's going on. They send him on a world tour, and he doesn't want to do it, but the gang talks him into it. And there's our assistant. There's the dean from the other school they're in a rival with. Let's see if I can find that. Springfield State. And let's see. That's Dean Collingswood, played by Alan Hewitt, who was in my favorite, Detective Brennan in My Favorite Martian, and the district attorney in How to Murder Your Wife. So I've seen him in My Favorite Martian. And here's a bunch of eggheads that quiz Dexter, and he gets all the questions right. So now, I don't know why Dean Higgins is giving everybody that particular British symbol, but so the gangs just watched him, give him he goes through there he is at the United Nations. Collingsworth really wants him on the school, but now he's going to have a disagreement with a jewel cutter who blows it. And does it say who the jewel cutter was? No, it should. Maybe Sigmund Fitzfield. Yeah, Sigmund Van Dyke. Yeah, that was him. Maybe. Yeah, he made the pop sound that everyone that picks up. If it doesn't, I'm not CGing a pop sound in there. Here he's visiting the Cape when old AJ Arno says he wants him to be on the team, and he's trying to bribe him. He wins all the money, and then he takes him to get his club, and there's a raid. So everyone gets arrested. Dexter's all bummed. The professor and the dean realize that Dexter hasn't signed up for the college, and he's just thinking everyone's out for themselves to use him, and he's not wrong. But his friends come together and bail him out with the 100, actually the 97.50. It's supposed to be 100. And the chief's like, I'll give you, if you'll go away, I'll pay the extra 250. Because he's got 250. And he's not even a Loch Ness monster. So he apologizes to everyone, and then he starts studying, and he's reading encyclopedias. So there's the Bulldogs, the Lockhurst Bulldogs. Looks like Fez over there, doesn't it? It's not, but... And they handily beat them. And Dexter's trying to give him the answers, so it's not just him answering. Gentleman right there is Henry Feathington. Henry Feathington, I do declare. But that's Frank Welker. The voice of Fred Jones these days, and Scooby-Doo, and a billion other voices. Yeah, in a real life. That's him in real life. So sputters, but in that right there, the moderator is well, he's one of the moderators, but the moderator that's credited, Pat Harrington, under that. Schneider from One Day at a Time. One Day at a Time, yeah, not One Days of Our Lives. One Day at a Time. And not Fred Schneider from the B-52s, just Schneider. I'm pretty sure. That's him, and he's just pretty funny too, actually. And there they go on. That is, who else is in there? Skylar is played by, let's see, where'd he go? Michael McGreevy, who's, come on. And then Miles is there. The black gentleman, that's, no, not him. Where'd he go? Miles? Well, anyway, I think that's W. Alex Clark. So there they are, and you get more headlines. And, that's Chili right there. Chili Walsh, played by Richard Bacalian. And he was in lots of, you've seen him in tons of things. He was a delinquent, a lot of times thugs, outlaws, and military action film, in military action film. Return from Witch Mountain, and he's in the third movie, The Strongest Man in the World, Fox and the Hound. He's just, I couldn't even tell you how many movies he's in. Panic in the Year Zero. Trying to see if Charlie and some of these I haven't seen. Shaggy DA. Several of that. Man, Fox and the Hound, as we said. Television. I mean, wouldn't surprise me if he was in Perry Mason a time or two. But I haven't seen it just yet come up. So, be that as it may. Oh, he was in Batman. Probably one of many thugs. And suddenly, they say the word Applejack, and that sets off Dexter repeating all of the gamblings and the winnings, because they're using a computer to keep it. Who knew how to work computers with punch cards and things and tapes? So they go and kidnap Dexter, and the police are brought in. And I don't remember who this kid is. If that's Pete, could be Frank Webb, could be Bradley. I don't know which one, but they take the recording to the cops and play it for him. Meanwhile, these guys are using Dexter, whose name was misspelled in the game shows or in his quiz challenges. The school will get $100,000, which will go right down the drain. He said foretellingly, and they can't find him. But Dexter's providing him the winners so he can eat. And now they tell him, they say the other three, Skylar and Miles and Skylar and Miles and Henry, have to go by without Dexter to the finals, and see if they can beat, of course, the other school, the rival school. So the gang gets together and concocts a plan to free Dexter. Free Dexter! And there's Skylar. And they do it. They pretend to be painters, and they're awful. And I just like the fact that he used the word pea brain. My mom did not like us calling each other pea brains, but we learned it from Joe Flynn himself, being the admiral in McHale's Navy, of course. Captain Binghamton. I guess he wasn't an admiral. Pardon me. Captain Binghamton in McHale's Navy called his assistant a pea brain all the time. We thought it was hilarious for some reason. So they rescue Dexter, who's in a box. And Trish ever listens to this. He's not in a box in her room, though. But he gets his head hit, which starts scrambling his brains back to the way they were. And the chase is on. I like the fact that he's lifted up his pants so they don't get paint on him. He's just such a good actor. The kids are smart enough to fill their tanks with gas so their cars won't go, but they left Dexter's cool. I'm sorry. dune buggies are just cool. They just are. And this is a nice blue painted one with flowers on it, but I like it. And off they go. So I wonder. Well, so they're trying to get Dexter out of the box, but then they use the paint, which causes some spin outs. So these stuntmen are getting paid their money's worth. It's a fun little chase. It doesn't last too. It's just perfectly and it's timed. They're trying to shoot him. They're in the green screen, but they've done it really well. This was directed by Robert Butler and Star Trek, Hogan's Heroes, Batman, Hill Street Blues, and the music was by Robert F. Brunner and Walt Disney Productions, of course, distributed by Buena Vista Distribution. So there's lots of fun stuff going on here. And let's see if let's get a little more sound in here just so we can hear it a little more.
The computer wore tennis shoes and a twinkle in his eye. That turned down uptight, that out of sight, totally together, computer in tennis shoes.
So they finally figure out to spray them with paint, which blinds them and sends them into a cow field. Cal's not impressed either. But Medfield's, they're only down 45-0 at this point in time. Because these guys they can't be that dumb.
Now the tennis shoes are on the computer, and the laughs are on the establishment as they try to cash in on his super brain.
I think I found a spot for you in my organization.
Cesar Romero wants to run the rackets by the computer.
It's just a matter of analyzing all the information.
Well, they rescue him, they get him out there, and away you go. But they're down bigly. And he starts his computer brain is sputtering and reverting back to its original wiring, which when you get your head hit. So here's the other team: Jay Reedy and Jay Flanderka. He doesn't get a credit in here, but he gets a speaking role. I was trying to see who he was, but he's not. The lieutenant there is Pete Ronaday. So they really don't give too many people credits here. The young lady is Hilliard Anderson as Jay Reedy. She gets a couple of lines. But they've tied it up thanks to Dexter and his stumbling. Final question. They get ahead, but now they need 10 more points. It's Skyler to the rescue. And he realizes it's Lebanon, Kansas, the city that's directly the geographic center of the United States. So we learned something here too. Well, I learn it every time I watch the movie, but now it's entombed, and I'm sure somebody else has said this many times. They see that Arno's there with his men, so they try to get away. Arno's like, "Don't kill me, you pea brain." Fortunately, he runs right into the lieutenant and gets arrested. The end of an era. And since the sequel, Now You See Him, Now You Don't, wasn't released for 3 years, we got to think that they were gone for 3 years. Of course, the kids are still in college, so they might have had to repeat their grades, even with the $100,000 they won. They want to get a electrospectroheliograph. They want a heliograph of some kind. And then the dean, of course, the kids are listening. They're out there. The dean looks. He's like, "What's this?" She says, "Whatever it is, don't you mess with it, okay?" And everyone laughs. Well, actually, that's it. The end. Highly enjoyable movie. I bought the 4-movie collection of this with the other 2, plus the Horse in the Gray Flannel Suit, which I have yet to watch. I don't even know what it's about off the top of my head, but it is actually older than I think it was made before the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. I'd have to check and see, but it does star Kurt Russell. I know it's a Disney movie. He's a good actor, and I've always enjoyed him. Most every movie I've seen him in. And we will get around to Big Trouble in Little China. So anyway, that is our movie for today, our comedy. And that does have kung fu in it, doesn't it? Dun dun dun. We may get be on a little Kurt Russell kick here. So anyway, that is our movie for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Tomorrow will be a possible book review. Doesn't have to be. All depends on the time frame we're looking at. But until our next assignment, my fellow agents, this is X7 signing off. Because now you see me, and now you don't.
It is tough to be the dean of a college today. It's tough, tough, tough. Unrest. Everywhere you look, unrest.
While the students tune in on the generation gap,
Every time we meet, they meet.
there's an electro-charged meeting of the mind. A high-speed computer accidentally drains its brain into a not-so-bright campus clown who becomes a socket-shocked human computer.
Dexter, come on, start the test.
The computer wore tennis shoes and a twinkle in his eye. That turned on uptight, that outside totally together computer and tennis shoes.
Now the tennis shoes are on the computer, and the laughs are on the establishment as they try to cash in on his super brain.
I think I found a spot for you in my organization.
Cesar Romero wants to run the rackets by the computer.
It's just a matter of analyzing all the information.
Joe Flynn wants to run the campus by the computer.
If Dexter isn't back tomorrow for that college knowledge program, then Springfield State will get the $100,000 grant. We don't stand a chance without it.
That boy, why, it's unfair. He's an intellectual freak.
But Kurt Russell finds he can't count his friends by the computer.
Thanks for bailing me out.
And that's when the computer-wearing tennis shoes gives everyone a hilarious run for their money and cops out on the syndicate over network television.
Applejack. Applejack, Chisholm City Social Club, 137 Feb. Applejack.
We gotta put that kid on ice.
What are we going to do?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, get me out of here!
Dexter, are you all right?
This high-speed computer game is programmed for fun, geared for action, and set to beat the establishment.
The computer wore tennis shoes and a smile upon his face. Turning on every chick in town at a cosmographic pace. A guy that craves and amazed and otherwise dazed the whole darn human race. That turned on uptight, that out of sight totally together computer and tennis shoes.